My name is Shelley Montgomery. I am currently a Director of Education with the Catholic District School Board of Eastern Ontario in Canada. Brand new at that job, just since July 1st. My affiliation is more through the Ottawa Catholic School Board, where I was a superintendent there for 7 years, and I would have had responsibilities for deep learning. I was the co-Canadian lead for the last 5 years with Tom D'Amico. So I've had many opportunities to network internationally with Professor Payne, and so it's I think why I had the invitation, but those are the roles that kind of brought me here today.
My name's Chris Morris. I'm an education consultant at the Association of Independent Schools New South Wales. I was employed as a deep learning consultant. So when the organisation commenced deep learning, my role is to work in situ, that is in school with teachers, designing deep learning opportunities and supporting the leadership to scale and diffuse the work. It's been great to really collaborate well with our Taiwanese colleagues. I think, you know, when Michael Fullen spoke about this global knowledge building network, I've seen it really take place not only today, but well, since you know, a long while ago, like, you know, Shelley and I and Professor Ping and Roger and Vicky and Anna, like we all jump on calls and share stories about deep learning design globally, and that's quite empowering. So it's great to be here and fantastic to be in Taiwan with all of you. Well, first and foremost, I just have to say that the people are just so warm and welcoming. I just, you know, I was greeted by a teacher who, you know, really, I flew in on Saturday night at 10 p.m. your time. After a busy week, one of your teachers came and greeted me at the airport. And, you know, I just am so grateful for the welcome and custom that you've extended to me since arriving in Taiwan. It's my first time here. My good friend Joanne took me to a temple and we went to Liberty Square, and it's been a really lovely opportunity for me to understand significant cultural aspects of Taiwan, the geopolitical state of Taiwan, and some of the challenges that educators face in terms of deepening learning.
It's just been the people, how respectful everyone has been, and since the second, I also got off the plane at 5:10 a.m. where 2 teachers picked me up, and that's on a Sunday morning, so that's above and beyond their role, and so that just shows how passionate they are about deep learning and about being a teacher and an educator in Taiwan. It's been raining the whole time that we've been here, so that's been interesting, but it doesn't matter. I can still feel the energy and the lively nature here in Taiwan, and so I look forward to. I haven't had much of a chance yet to explore too much because I got here on Sunday, and we've been busy since then, visiting beautiful schools, and so I look forward to spending some time tomorrow afternoon touring Taiwan a bit more. So good impressions so far.
I suppose first and foremost, like we walked into these schools, and again, welcomed by principals. You know, principals are very busy people. They are running large schools. They're both large schools. And the time that the principals invested in not only sharing their story of being a part of the NPDL network, but walking with us, relating to us, I just felt so, I think we felt so welcome, but also it was a huge time investment on their behalf, and we really appreciate that. The other thing is your students. Your students were so respectful of us. You know, a lot of them waved. I got invited into a volleyball game, so I played a bit of volleyball, and that was fun. And you know, we were pulling apart keyboards in the semiconductor unit. So it was the students almost felt that we were part of the learning environment, like we weren't some, you know, new people just coming in. They just sort of looked at us and then just kept working. So I found that really exciting and uplifting.
It was almost overwhelming in some ways to see the detail that the principals put into welcoming us in these visits, you know, from having tea from when we first walk in. And Chris, similar to myself, would likely have to get approval from our superiors in Canada or in Australia to come to something like this. And what I found, I was really impressed with, for example, they had a name tag for us, and in the little corner was the symbol from my school board. And I thought, wow, they took that extra effort to do that. And then I was able to take a picture and look, we're being represented here in Taiwan. So, just those extra details mean a lot. And in terms of the schools themselves, to see swimming pools and the facilities is outstanding. And to have the outdoor space in the middle, for me in Canada, we have big, beautiful spaces, obviously, but the way it's designed, I think is just really impressive and would bring, it would maximize student success where you can be inside, outside. And so I just, the schools were phenomenal, the students were phenomenal, the activities that were demonstrated to us really represented deep learning. So it was definitely an amazing school, it was an amazing day yesterday, two amazing school visits, yeah.
Yeah, I think some of the best professional learning that teachers can do is watch other teachers teach. And so I suppose my mindset in going and observing teachers yesterday was, what could I take away from this teacher and implement in my classroom, in my practice? And what I saw was really focused, rich pedagogical practices. In a mathematics class, we saw random calling on students with paddle pop sticks, great formative assessment. We saw a teacher so passionate about earth science that there was no opportunity for students to be disengaged. We saw teachers who, invested time and energy in creating bespoke courses for students for engagement, in Chinese medicine and, semiconductors and with great industry partnerships. So, yeah, I loved teacher observations. I think in Australia, not every teacher loves teacher observations. There's often times where they see it as punitive and, they're being spied on. But I think if it's put within the right parameters, it can be a most powerful learning experience. And I loved my learning experience yesterday.
It takes a lot of courage for a teacher to invite not only another teacher, as Chris said, into their classroom, but strangers like us to come in, and it gives them an opportunity to shine and highlight and not be humble, share the good strengths they have as a teacher. And so that certainly came through yesterday in what I saw. In terms of feedback, again, we just saw some phenomenal teachers with strong pedagogy. In Canada, a very popular strategy, I would say, that we have two strategies that I saw, and in some incidents didn't, but that doesn't mean it doesn't happen, would be flexible learning spaces where more they're in groups versus rows. So I saw a combo of that, and so that's certainly something I observed, but doesn't mean it was a negative, because the teachers were still phenomenal. And then another thing is the turning and talking with each other. So sometimes when a teacher asks a question, they're trying to get the teachers to get the students to activate their prior knowledge, and they give a little moment to turn and talk and have that conversation for a minute and then go back to the learning. And so that's always a strategy I encourage and tried to even do today in my own talk. Eventually I got there, but no, certainly it was an excellent day with the pedagogy that we saw. The teachers were strong, and those were just small observations in the very minute time we were there that I would share, but it doesn't mean it's not happening in other days. I would say I am inspired by all the details, again, that are put in, all of the posters and you know, the gifts, the water even at the table, like every little detail that way. I'm also really inspired by the level of knowledge around deep learning that we saw from in every country. So we have Australia, we have Canada, we obviously have Taiwan, Vietnam, Singapore. I'm probably missing a country, but all of the examples that we witnessed shared the same language. So I was so proud, even in my own talk, to talk about how the common language is the thread that brings us together. It makes, as leaders, managing a strategy like deep learning easier than to see it happening like so naturally around the world. Not only shows the strength of, you know, Michael Fullen and his team and how hard they must have worked with all of us individually, and the passion they put into it to make us grab onto this, you know, and it's what's good for kids. So I'm walking away feeling like, wow, like this is just really impressive to see all of us using that same language and not just in my own district. So yes.
I thought Shelley's keynote began the day beautifully and really positioned us in a space of how you scale something like this. I think, you know, that's often the challenge, isn't it? You know, it's many pockets of good ideas, but the strategy and systematization of you know, the Catholic School Board and not only that, but the resourcing that was put into it, like shared PowerPoints and those sorts of things, I think were great learnings that I took away, and I really appreciate Shelley sharing those. I loved hearing from the individual teachers in terms of their learning design. Particularly loved the Vietnam presentation around chemistry. They were very engaging, and I thought it was a really nice reflection on the work. And when I walked around, and a lot of the Cs were finishing, but I loved the fact that there was an activity around looking at the one learning design, and they were trying to deepen it through discourse. And professional discourse is probably something that in Australia I think we find challenging to get teachers together for co-design. And it was just so exciting to see that play out today. And I suppose I wonder, what does that look like in a school? You know, do we regularly get teachers together co-designing? Because that's when the gold happens. That's when the good ideas germinate.
Given that I'm starting in a brand new school board myself, and having to start on this journey after coming from a board that was embarked on this journey for over 10 years, I think the biggest message I would have is to believe in the framework of deep learning, believe in the 4 elements and the global competencies, and that sometimes teaching in that way could be perceived as taking extra time that's taking away, that's prep for, let's say, a standardized test. But it's not, because the kids become better, well-rounded citizens. So I would say my messaging would be that to give it a chance, to try and use that language. Don't overwhelm yourself. You know, as I said today, it could be one element, it could be one global competency. As long as you're rethinking how you always teach, it's what's good for the students. And so that would be something and that's something I'm trying to message in my new board as well. It's not necessarily something new. You're probably doing a lot of it. Just name it. Let's all name it and be paddling in the same direction versus everyone doing it but not really saying it in the same language. So.
Well, shared language is powerful, right? It unites people and around a common and shared vision. To those schools who aren't involved in deep learning, I would ask the question, why not? I think what we want for our young people is to be active and informed citizens, to be good at learning and good at life. And we live in a very complex, volatile, uncertain, ambiguous world. Don't we want the competencies alongside curriculum to give our young people the skills that they need to be good at learning and good at life? And I don't think anyone would say no. So for those who are considering it, jump in and stay the course, because it doesn't just happen overnight. But I find, the sweet spot with a lot of the schools that I work with is about 4 to 5 years until it becomes really scaled and diffused and the language is shared. For those schools that are still involved in the work, keep at it, because your students deserve it. Your students deserve to be good at learning and good at life. And ultimately, at the end of the day, and I'll be talking about this tomorrow in my presentation, across the globe, teaching is tough. It's difficult. We're in a difficult occupation, but we all went into teaching for a reason, because we're passionate about young people and seeing them thrive and survive. So yeah, I just think stay the course, stick at it, because our young people need it in this world that we live in.